Hi everybody, Richard Tromans here again, Artificial Lawyer TV. Today we're doing a special ALTV episode. We're talking to Exigent. With us to tell us a bit more about what the company does is David Home and Rico Burnett. Hi guys.
Hi Richard.
Before we go any further into what Exigent actually does and talk around some of the key themes, could you just tell us a bit about what Exigent does and also a little bit about what your roles are?
Sure. Thanks, Richard, and Merry Christmas and all that good stuff. We're a business that started out in a very traditional services space and moved through acquisition and through innovation into a very technology-driven business. I happen to be the co-founder and chairman these days, although I don't wear tweed except at Christmas. And now we've turned ourselves, we've pivoted from a services-based businesses into a very much a tech-enabled business, which is very global in its reach. But our biggest excitement is in what Rico does. Rico?
Thanks, David, and thank you, Richard. It's good to be with you. So I head up a team which is effectively the Exigent R&D innovation group called the Mind Factory, and our role is really around designing those solutions and those outcomes for clients that are just awash with technology and change and trying to make sense of that world. Now I joined Exigent at that pivot David was talking about. Before that I was in practice, corporate legal practice for 9 years with a focus on technology, telecommunications and IP, and I pivoted to a role that really allows us to deploy, implement and consult on what really is changing the legal landscape. And that's where we are today. And we would like to start off with a quick video clip about what it is that we are doing, and then we'll get back.
Fantastic. Please take it away. All right,
Thank you,
very
Richard.
interesting, very interesting. I think, well, let's get into the tech there, because obviously those were all tech products to varying degrees. Let's start off with that first one, so that Exigent AI. So these are obviously aimed at corporates primarily. I just wonder actually, well, Rico and David, if you could just explain what we were looking at there. So it looked like we'd got a sort of extraction tool. There was a search tool. There was what looked to be a kind of ELM or CLM type capability, work tracking, workflows, and so forth. Could you just talk us through some of those capabilities?
I'll leave Rico with the detail, but essentially it's a legal hub, really. This is the focus has always been on the extraction of information or data to use it into and utilize information. Each of the products sit within that, and they're all provided as a service. So we're not trying to give people a whole bunch of logons and icons on their desktop. We're trying to give them a series of capabilities. Rico, do you want to just quickly cover those capabilities?
Thanks, David and Richard. Yes, so the focus has really been on considering what is out there, what clients are using, what they have available, and approaching that as an evolution, right, rather than a pure revolution as such, right? I think we all see that they are costly and consuming rollouts, and our focus has been on delivering capabilities in the extraction, assembly, automation, and specifically the predictive analytics and risk space that will allow us to really seek those small incremental gains. And I think that delivers value to clients much faster than what we are seeing in the market. And that's been our approach in assembling these products.
I think that's right, Rico. I mean, we've been very focused on small incremental gains. You can pick parts of these capabilities if you need them. And some of our major clients have started with one capability and added and tacked on others. And they I think mainly like the fact that they can add these as a service element rather than a kind of another license, another software product. Actually, they just want to be able to utilize the results for the benefit, and you're right, Richard, for the benefit of their own internal corporate stakeholders, and that's quite a big deal for legal departments.
No, absolutely. But could you just talk us through what those products are again? So viewers might be asking themselves, what have I just seen there? Could you just walk us through what did you just show us? What do those things do?
Absolutely. So when we started our journey with the pure contract management space, right, the contract management tool, and we found that to make that accessible to clients, we have to build at the front. So we started with workflow design, document automation, and then we moved into the realm of, let's call them advanced product range. Exigent AI and Exigent Search are really in AI and machine learning driven models that allow us to search, with the managed component Dave was talking about, infuse actual legal expertise into a piece of technology that will allow us to search and extract value, from agreements or invoices or documents of whatever sort. So we actually went that journey, developed those search and extraction and discovery capabilities, moved into, contract management. And then we started really where we ended that journey, which is really in the space of risk analysis and predictive deviation analysis, which really allows us to take, upcycle or recycle the vast amounts of data that comes through these technology processes and deliver, risk management services to clients. And that's really the journey from, effective contract inception straight through to contract maintenance and risk management.
I think that's right. At the end of the day, the technologies allow you, in simple terms, if you have data, we can find it because we can use AI to auto ingest it. And once we've found it, we can analyze it. And if you want to analyze it, we can do clause comparison. We can do RFP clause comparison across the piece. We can do the analysis, but we've got the technology that allows us to effectively auto extract. And that means if you're trying to say in practical terms, I have 10,000 contracts and I want to find 100 pieces of information in each, that might be a product, that might be a process that might take, from a manual perspective, say 25 lawyers in 6 weeks, real example of ours. we did it with 3 lawyers in 4 days. And once you've auto-extracted, then you can use it. You see, the problem with a lot of legal departments is they don't have the technology or the people to get to the data. They know what the answer is, but they don't know how to get there. And these are tools that get you somewhere up the curve in terms of fast extraction, accurate extraction, and then a comparison.
Well, let's talk about the tech and services in a moment, but just a quick technical question. Where did this natural language processing capability come from? Is this a sort of BERT model, a sort of open license model that you brought in and you trained it to specific legal language? Is this a third-party vendor that you brought in, or where does this come from?
Yeah, good question, Richard. And we actually went possibly a different route to many other people, right? Yes, on the BERT side, we've been using BERT to actually test and, validate our search and our development, right? So we started on that journey by looking at, what our clients need. We've built our own extraction. We've built our own, discovery models, and we are effectively using things like BERT and, the more focused kind of legal BERT scenario to test our assumptions. So we're using and looking at what is working really well, but to temper or to fuse into what we are doing, and that's where our kind of NL approach has been. And the benefit of that is we bolt the legal services expertise in at the front, and then we test that against the libraries out there, and we think that's given clients a more bespoke experience.
So you've done your own training, okay? Basically,
we have roughly over the last, correct me if I'm wrong, Rico, over the last 3 years, we've had a dedicated full-time team of about 25 attorneys doing that kind of bespoke learning process. And we've learned a lot from that. I mean, really, it's been a mutually sort of interesting experience from that perspective. But one of the reasons we did that was because we looked at the tools out there, including OCR, and we decided they weren't good enough for what we wanted to achieve for our clients. And part of that was making sure there was a consistency of approach to that machine learning, and that continues every single day. And if there is a new client, and when there is a new client, we have people who are familiar, lawyers who are familiar with training technology to adapt that to make it fit for purpose, because the portfolio of possibilities is vast, and so you need that flexibility of mind as well as an ability to use technology to make it work for you. That's the back end. The client just sees the front end, but that is our back end investment.
Gotcha. Well, let's talk about the tech and services. So just recapping, so you've got a kind of CLM system, you've got an NLP system for extraction, and you've got some various other capabilities which other NLP tools in the market generally have. But you're also, you might say, traditionally your origins are as an ALSP, a service provider.
Yeah.
But you've kind of fused the two together, and you've got a sort of broader sort of dual approach now. Let's just talk about, this really is kind of like the last thing we can focus on right now because of time, but just talk me through your approach to that mix of tech and services.
Well, I think because we came from a services background and then we pivoted towards tech, our tech is services informed, and so we're completely focused. Genuinely, this isn't a marketing piece, but we know that our clients just want to use outcomes, and if there are any mistakes or difficulties in delivering that through technology, then they lie with us. But the way that we built the technology was empathetic towards the service outcome. I mean, that's the way.
So you have a large team of, I guess, paralegals, trained lawyers, and the like, who can help with the manual processing aspect, who can work with technology, so the client can come to you.
Correct.
So
correct, because it doesn't matter who tells you what. And Rico's probably got a better opinion on this, but there's nothing perfect in the marketplace around technology. But the point is, how far up can you get, and what is the payback on that? And getting to 85% accuracy in 20% of the time is a big prize. That's a big economic prize. I mean, and it's getting better, but it will never be perfect. You need a service element to who understands the tech to really make it a rounded product. Rico, have you got any final comments on that?
Yeah, Richard, one of the things we found to be extremely powerful is we've brought on board experts that come from a vastly different realm of experience, right? So whether that's software developers or front-end engineers or mathematicians or several accountants, in our team at the moment, who actually challenge the perception of what a good piece of legal technology is, and then therefore challenge what a good agreement is, right? And if you take it all back, the service and the technology actually combine well because we challenge what is effectively the typical ROI cycle, right? We think we can do things in coming back to the incremental gain by bringing on board experts that validate what we do frequently. And that's challenging, but I think it's also productive. And that leads to a better client outcome.
Gotcha. So just the very last thing, just to wrap up. So, if someone's watching this and they're thinking, well, okay, this sounds interesting. How do they engage Exigent, not just the ALSP service side, but how do they bring you in to help with a CLM or document analysis project? How does that work?
I mean, I think, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention this, but it's a very large global technology company who engaged us by saying, I have these 5 problems. I want this fixed as a priority. What can you do across the portfolio of issues? Let's call this evolutionary change. And that's been the most successful model, is don't boil the ocean. Don't turn this into a huge procurement exercise. Just see what you can do on an incremental basis. And if that be services, that's fine. If it's technology and services, that's also fine. If your immediate problem is legal spend analysis, then that's a relatively straightforward fix. And I think the future for us at Exigent, and and this may be maybe just unique to us, but I doubt it, is this is a partnership that lasts 2-3 years as you help change be delivered without having to sort of put pressure on legal departments to buy technology, to buy services, to outsource people. You're looking at a combined solution, and I think that's an easier sell, but it's also an easier buy. I think. I mean, if I'm sat there thinking I've got these issues, I wonder if they can help. I think that's about it, isn't it? If I think I trust these people to at least give me some innovation and ideas, that's good enough. And if some of them work, then and some of them stick, that's great. But we're not a hardcore selling organization of either technology or services. We're solutions based, and I cringe to say solutions, but it's true. Rico, any final words?
Yeah, thanks, David. And Richard, where we do change things up a bit is, we are always open to having those initial conversations with clients, right? And clients' perspective of the challenge is, if we think about, law firms or corporates, is quite frequently a legal problem, right? And we are quite good at understanding the business problem. And making those two, focus areas align, I think, is a core to what we do. And through that unpacking process, we welcome those discussions from clients who enjoy our technology and who want to challenge us on our technology. So I think, anybody who's interested, they pick up the phone, they go to the website, through all of those great channels, and we just ask them, as David was saying, where are the 2 things you struggle with today, and where do you want to be tomorrow? And then we build on that, and I think that's where we see success coming in the future.
I think that's right. There are very few, very few people who've got a mind factory who can analyze the problem and curate that solution and genuinely do that for a sort of reasonably objectively sensible price.
Fantastic. Well, we've got to leave it there. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. But thank you very much, David. Thanks, Rico. If you do want to learn more, check out the website, which is listed above. But that's all we have time for. Thank you very much to both of you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.